Hello, hello. Today I talked to SWAINE, a Toronto based rapper who, over the course of the past 5 or so years, has accumulated and built one of the most impressive discographies I have ever seen, with almost 500 official tracks released and 27 projects over that time. I talked to SWAINE about his mentality behind making music, keeping a consistent quality over the course of such consistent releases, and sort of his mentality behind who he collaborates with and his plans for performing live, especially in an upcoming show this February with Garden and Sewer Person in Toronto. I had a lot of fun with SWAINE. He's incredibly passionate about the music he makes, and it's very rare to see somebody who has this much drive and power. Remember the rock song? Anyways, I had a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoy. And so I guess to officially start off, I do want to start closer to the beginning of, your discography and all that, because you've been making music for quite a few years now. I think the oldest songs on your SoundCloud page are about 5 years old. So
Yeah.
what would you say was like your first introduction to music in a way that made you want to make music?
Um, it was probably in like grade nine. I was in the ninth grade and I just always loved listening to music, especially rap. And at the time I was super into ASAP Rocky, and I was listening to him a lot, and I just wondered to myself like, how do they do that? Like, I was curious about it, so I just decided to try it. I downloaded like the FL Studio demo, and I just like messed around with it, made a couple like really bad beats. Um, Tried recording something. It was awful. I recorded like on like a headset mic. I just got addicted
Nice.
to it. It got really fun, and I just never stopped. So yeah.
Yeah, and like 5 years ago, so the like very early tracks on your account, like New Low, 4 a.m. on Top of the World, Spawn, and tracks like that,
Hmm.
although very early on in your discography, quite literally the earliest songs, those songs are have elements and styles that are very reminiscent of like what you're making today, like similar like flows and like use of melodies and stuff like that. So what would you say was the process behind making those songs, and how do you think your process, if at all, has changed up to this point?
Um, let's see. It's a good question.
Thank you.
Um, well, the processes back then were just like, I honestly, in terms of like the context of the lyrics, I don't even remember the lyrics of those songs. I don't remember what I was even talking about, but the process would usually just, it was kind of similar to today. I would get a beat off YouTube usually, or make one. But at that time, I wasn't really making beats because I felt they were pretty bad, which they were. So I just didn't really use them. I would get a beat off YouTube, and then I would just write to it, and then like whenever I got a chance, I would record it. The thing that's changed today, in terms of that, is today I don't really write anymore. I just kind of get into, like, I go into FL, I have the beat, and then I, like, whatever I'm thinking in that moment, I'll just do. But I won't, like, I'm not like Lil Wayne where I can do like a whole song at once. Like, it's more like I'll do the first couple lines and then I'll think about it and then I'll do the next couple lines, etc. And I think it's better than writing for me, just because it's more like my energy in that moment, and it's also, I don't have to plan anything. I can plan on the spot. Like, if because for me it's kind of difficult and it's complicated to like structure a track before I'm recording it, where I'm like writing and okay, this is the bridge, this is the hook. So I would instead, now I start and I think like, oh, right here I'll put a hook, right here I'll put the bridge, and it just fits more because it's that I just can think about it in the moment and notice that this part in the song is perfect for something like a hook, and I'll do it.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
interesting because I know that a lot of people sort of implement that style where instead of just writing down lyrics into like maybe their notes or like on a piece of paper, they're just kind of freestyling and going about going off the vibe of the production they have or just sort of
Yeah.
whatever they're feeling at the moment. So do you think that has benefited the styles and the sounds of your music? Do you think that after writing lyrics for so long that like changing over to that approach to songwriting has that been like refreshing?
Yeah, for sure. It's so much more comfortable for me because, like I said, it's just like that's my energy in the moment, and when I'm writing beforehand, I can't replicate the same energy later. So it almost feels scripted, and it just doesn't work. So when I'm just doing it right there, I feel way more into it. I don't feel like I'm reading off of something. It's just there,
That's
and it's
fair.
what I want to say. Yeah.
And if, of course, since those early songs that I mentioned, you've kind of gathered up and produced an incredibly extensive discography. Almost 500 songs and 27 projects, ranging from like double singles to EPs to albums. How and of course across different genres as well. Hip hop being the predominant one, but you have like sort of R&B fusion, trap, pop, even like some house and disco mixed into the works. So how are you sort of like utilizing these genres, and how do you think that you've been able to maintain that level of consistency over such an insane size discography?
First of all, thank you. That's kind words. Thank you very much.
Of course.
It's also kind of crazy to hear that 500 songs. Wow,
It's
27 projects.
I remember because I have tweet notifications on for you, and I remember seeing that tweet where you were like, hey, like I just hit 100 songs, and even at that time I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I
And now
remember
you're
that
almost
too.
at
Wow.
500.
Yeah, I kind of went crazy. It's like that one. That one. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a Conor McGregor clip where he's training and he's talking about that Van Gogh quote when he's like, I sacrificed everything for my art and I lost my mind in the process or something. It's kind of similar. It sounds so
Yes, and
corny,
that's how
but
you
it's
feel.
just kind of yeah, yeah. I don't know. In terms of maintaining consistency, like I honestly don't know how I've been going so long because I'm just like not writer's block prone. I think in my whole career I've had like 3 writer's blocks, and I had to take
Really?
like a week off. But usually I'm just ready to go all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, because I know for I don't I know like, and of course you've had like a lot of projects and collaborations, especially with like Godlow and Scotty over the past couple months.
Yep.
But like you used to just put out like one single a week, like for like indefinite lengths of time.
Yeah, yeah. That was because of Russ. He did that, and I thought that sounded because he was saying in an interview that really helped him with his success, but not just his success, more like also like his just getting better. So I was like, fuck it, I'll try it. I'll do a song every week as long as I can. And it turned from a couple weeks to a few years of doing that. And it honestly worked. It made me way better. It taught me a lot of things, made me more efficient, more like, you know, just being able to like pump songs out all the time. So it honestly worked out in the end. I'm glad I did it. And I still might do it in the future, but right now I'm just kind of focusing on albums.
Yeah, and the albums recently have I think have been some of your most consistent and very like well thought out work. And you've been incorporating a lot of self production into it. And I know that self production has been a thing for a while. I mean, songs even as
Hmm.
far back as like Poor Taste and Stuck were self produced.
Yep.
But I've been seeing it a lot more recently, especially with Lost in the Virtual, which was entirely self produced. What was it like producing an entire album like for yourself?
It was great. It's actually so much fun to produce. Like once I learned and I learned how to do it and I got my own style, it's just fun. It's really fun to like find the right samples and then chop them up or make something cool with them, do cool drum patterns. Recently I've been doing a lot of like for the world, the latest album,
Hmm.
a lot of the production was because here actually let me explain. So Lost in the Virtual, when I produced it, that was a lot of like I'd get a melody sample and I would just add drums on top, add a bass line. Everything was like I would do it myself, like I'd program it. For the world, I decided to try instead of programming literally every single thing, I would find a melody, um, and then I find other samples that fit in also, like full samples, like violin samples or like bass samples or even drum samples where they're just like real drum set loops that sound really cool, and I would just mess with the speed to make it all fit. And I think it's really fun to like mix and match samples and make something entirely new out of it. So yeah, producing a project is a ton of fun. I love it, and it's just it feels good because it's completely me. Like it's
Yeah, like
yeah,
everything is
it's
you.
all me. Yeah, exactly.
But with that album, with Lost in the Virtual, I feel like I saw a lot of production choices and styles that, although honored and kind of stayed in line with the sounds that you had been making up until that point, I also saw a
Hmm.
lot of like changes in the production, like a lot of ambient production, a lot of real spacey but still hard hitting sounds used. Do you think that self producing that album gave you, I guess, maybe a more insight and more creativity to try things that you had never tried before?
Yeah, for sure. Because the beats on that album are very like they are in line with stuff I've done before, but they're just a lot more out there. Like you're right, like the ambience, the spaciness, all that stuff. I really wanted to make it sound like a like how would I explain? Like because the album covers like a computer, like an old Windows
Yeah.
99 computer screen and stuff. So I want it to sound like super like technological, and it's weird to describe it that way, but yeah, like so it definitely gave me some confidence to like just try something new and make something sound weird.
Yeah, like capturing sort of like the essence of that like internet era, but still kind of like retro-ish nostalgia sounds.
Yeah, exactly.
And then also apart from Lost in the Virtual being self-produced, you have done a lot of projects that were where all of the production on the album was either done entirely or like you worked with a producer. Like you've done projects with Eric Godlow and then Scotty Splash to like have them help with the production on the entire album. So what's it like making a project where you're relying on one person for like the sound and the aesthetics of the album, and how does that help the album evolve stylistically?
Well, relying on one person is it can be very bad or very good. You with Eric and Scotty, it's always good. I mean, especially with Eric, like he's able to adapt to any sound that we want. Like it's honestly insane. Like when we were doing the like Counter-Strike themed albums, uh he would just like turn it on. Like I'd be like, "Yo, let's do something that sounds super like mid 2000s ish or like of that era," and he'd be like, "Yeah, no problem." And he'd send me like a couple beats that all are exactly what I was thinking. Especially for something like Ravenholm that was super poppy and 80s sounding.
Mm-hmm.
He told me he'd never done something like that before, and he just killed it. Like it was so quick for him to just make like an 80s sounding like instrumental, and it was just easy that way. But it can be, I don't think I've ever worked with a producer that I don't vibe with like that, but
Mm-hmm.
I know that sometimes it can be you just don't have that connection. Like you'll think of one thing, but the producer's thinking of something else, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
So
sometimes
it can be tricky.
yeah, like sometimes like creative like differences can happen,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
maybe it results to the detriment of the project. But like you said, and you have the two count. I'm glad you brought that up because I love that you have two albums that are both named after, influenced, and inspired by Counter Strike.
Mm,
Um, but you've over the years you've incorporated a lot of like elements of like pop culture and gaming and like sports and stuff like that into your wordplay.
mm.
So like where do you essentially like what do you look at and you're like, what, I want to like honor that in my writing process. Like I love Counter Strike. I'm gonna write some Counter Strike bars or like what interests do you have that bleed into your music?
Um, I mean, I've always loved video games, so there is that. Like I've in my songs I've referenced Counter-Strike, Half-Life, Doom, like Halo even I think all kinds of games. Those are just some and World of Warcraft even. Those are just games that like I've always loved and I still play to this day. So I mean, just being around them for so long, eventually I just it pops into my head while I'm recording like, hey, reference Counter-Strike. But for it's yeah, it's just a lot of times when I'm recording, sometimes it stuff will just pop into my head for no reason. Like if I love basketball a lot, so a lot of my references can be basketball related, like about Kobe Bryant, Michael
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, stuff like that. But then other times it can be stuff that I just saw once, like on the world. There's one song I can't remember the which one it was, but the line is like going for the gold pocket swole CT Fletcher. CT Fletcher's a bodybuilder, and I am not really that into bodybuilding, but I follow a few bodybuilders, and
Yeah.
I saw his name once, and then that just popped up in my head, and I was like, why don't I rhyme CT Fletcher? So it was just like, it's just like that. I mean, most of the time it's stuff that I've always loved and I've been like obsessed with my whole life, but then other times it's just randomly it'll pop into my head and it works,
Yeah,
and
just
I
just
just do it.
taking things from anywhere you can find them pretty
Yeah,
much.
exactly, exactly.
Um and also kind of going back to the production standpoint, not necessarily all the production that maybe you've done or collaborators that you've worked closely with, but on a lot of your songs, in which you have more of like a hip hop rap style approach to them, you a lot of them are approached on like boom bap and I don't want to say simple, but like in air quotes simple beats that really let your
Mm.
vocals and your lyrics shine. But at
Yeah.
the same time, you don't shy away from more layered or more conceptual production. So what is the process maybe behind go viewing a song where you're like, this is a rap song, this is boom bap. I'm putting some wordplay out there, I'm putting some rhymes out there, and then is the process any different for a song where you're like, what, I want to make more of a pop song, something that is maybe a little looser with the melodies, not as focused on lyrics.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so for example, um, when we were doing 1.6 and Source, those albums are super like rap focused.
Hmm.
Well, the halves of them, there's the A and B sides, but the A sides are super rap focused. So the process is like I don't even care about bridges or hooks. Like I just want it to be a verse, as many bars as I can say, as hard hitting as possible, and then I'll think about everything else later. And then something like Ravenholm that's super poppy. If I just think of it like I'm for things like pop, I'm really influenced by like Michael Jackson, The Weeknd, Justin Timberlake, stuff like that. So the way they do it is like in my mind is they like follow the how would I even explain it? Like it's because pop as a genre is not really lyric focused. It's more about
Mm.
like how this the singing quality, the melodies you can do, the harmonies, things like that. So I'm more focused on like layering vocals, getting really like beautiful harmonies, uh, things like that. Obviously, Ravenholm's a more like it's a concept album. It's from the perspective of Gordon Freeman from Half-Life 2. Um, so I mean, the words mattered there because I had to make it sound like some
Yeah.
kind of story from someone else's perspective. But at the same time, I'm trying to mostly complement the melody of the song and make it sound really nice when I'm singing and make it catchy like a pop song
Yeah,
would be.
has
Yeah.
singing like has singing on tracks, like has that always been into interest from the beginning, or was that something that developed over time as you continued to make songs?
I think it always has. I don't think I ever thought I'd make pop, let alone a pop album. But
Hmm.
I mean, I've always liked pop music. Obviously I've always been more into rap, but pop is great, and I singing is a lot of fun. Like when I was starting, I really wanted to just rap and be a rapper, but singing has always been really fun to do, and I got better at it over the years. And I mean, someone like Drake influenced me a lot with singing too, because he was one of the first like rappers to also sing on his own songs.
Yeah.
Usually back in the day, rappers would just get a singer for their song. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's always been really fun to sing, so I'm definitely going to be doing more of it in the future.
Yeah, and I think that creates a really interesting space for artists, especially artists in like underground scenes and stuff like that, where like ingenuity and evolution is happening constantly. Where
Mm,
once I think once a dynamic shifts and somebody realizes that like every aspect of a song like they can do, like, oh, I rap but I can sing the chorus, or like, oh, I use YouTube beats, but like, oh, I can produce now. I think that really gives someone full control, like it finally gives them full control over every element of the song that they are making.
I agree. I agree. It makes it so that you can like custom make the song. Like you don't have to rely on anyone else. It's entirely your brain and what you're thinking about the song and what you want it to sound like. Because
Yeah.
you can get a singer and be like, "Hey, can you sing the hook like this?" But it's most likely not going to be exactly what you wanted it to sound
Yeah,
like, you know?
at the end of
So,
the day, it's somebody else no matter what.
exactly. Yeah.
And also, over the years, you have, and of course, maybe this is just due to like the incredible output of music you have, stopping for nobody, pushing shit out
Mhm.
as fast as possible. But over the years, collaborations have been pretty low. You're really just pushing out your own solo work, proving your worth and doing all this stuff. Um, but you've had a couple features come up over. I know that on I hate that I can't remember the name of the album, but you got Young Van to rap on a song. It was like 2 years
Right.
ago. I can't remember.
Um Astro 1998, I think is the
Yes,
album.
that's
Yeah.
it. That was I knew that it was on there. And then of
Yeah.
course, you've had like Night Vibes over the years. So how has the experience been like having your circle of collaborators like so small?
I actually have like a philosophy on collaborations, especially when you're underground. In my mind, I don't want to be like if I have a song that's a huge hit that everyone loves, I don't want there to be someone else there where I can potentially be the other guy in the song. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if it's my success, I want it to be my success. Like it sounds really selfish, but I mean at the end of the day, I view this underground music scene as a competition. Every day when I'm making songs, when I'm making albums, I want to be first. I want to be the best guy. So I try not to collaborate that much just because it's I want to be the guy.
Yeah, like
It's kind of like yeah, it
if
is
people are
selfish
listening to that
sounding, but
song, it's
yeah,
for you.
exactly,
Well, I don't think
exactly.
that's selfish at all because I think that in an environment like this, everybody has something to prove. Like
Yeah,
my biggest song, my most played song on my account has a feature. So it kind of always, at least you want to confirm that like the people that are coming back and listening to like that big song, like they're coming there for you. Like you have
exactly.
proved your worth and they are listening to that song because of what you've done on it.
Yep, I agree completely.
Oh, also, something else I wanted to bring up. You
Yeah,
are doing a show in Toronto with Sewer Person
I
and
am.
Garden. Have you
Yep.
ever performed live before?
Never in my life. I'm very nervous.
You're, I mean, listen, I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit.
Yeah.
But how have you developed your set list for that? Because I know that some people run into developing set lists and they want to do like their favorite songs, but then they realize other songs that they've made are maybe more suited or tailored to a live audience. So how have you been like preparing for your first live show?
Well, the set list is entirely off of The World, the new album.
Okay.
I just thought that since I pretty much just released it like a month ago, um, well, actually less than a month ago, but I just wanted to maybe show new potential audience members of mine, or fans of mine, I guess, to the latest stuff, the stuff that I think is the best stuff so far. And I have a thing where like every time I make something new, the old stuff I hate. Like I don't even care about it anymore. So like there are songs that I'm sure would be fun to perform that are older songs, but I feel like that's something I'll do when I have more of a space to occupy on the stage, like more time. Because since I'm an opener, my set list is short,
hmm
so I don't have that many options as for songs I can put. So I don't want to like have a huge mix of random stuff from all kinds of time, like all kinds of time periods where I was doing different albums and different stuff. So I just decided to do the latest work because it's my favorite. So, and I think it's like worthy of being performed.
Yeah, and it it makes sense to do that because when you do that project live from that album, like anybody that I guess goes to search for your music afterwards, like that's the first thing they're going to see because that's the most
Exactly.
recent. Yeah, so
Yeah.
if it's like what you're most proud of, why not?
Yeah, I agree.
And I do have a broad sort of vague general question, and I know this is like a job interview question, so it doesn't really sound fun, but I'm kind of interested. You've been at this for a while, and I think that you've more than established a personal style, aesthetics, and you've had an impact that you can call your own. Where
Mhm.
do you see yourself going from here? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years is essentially the question. But like,
um,
what's next for Swain? Where do you see yourself taking this?
well, in the near future, the world is one of three albums, so I'm doing a trilogy there. I'm planning to, with the titles, tie it all in together. I won't say anything about what the titles will be,
hmm
but the title is gonna be like once all three albums are out, the titles of each one will form a complete sentence.
Oh,
And then
okay.
maybe I will. I think I'm probably gonna like not like re-release it because that's kind of stupid. I don't really like deluxe albums, but like I'll put it on like SoundCloud as a whole playlist with maybe some bonus songs.
Okay.
Um, once they're all done. But that's the near future. For the far future, I just hope to eventually like make a living off of this, make it my life, like what I'm doing to sustain myself and to just make that my whole full-time like job because it's the thing I love the most and it's the most fun thing in the world. So, yeah. Um I also would like to just make like just like a great album, like something just insane that would be like my major debut kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like recently, I've been listening to a lot of the Eminem Show and
dude.
Get Rich or Die Trying.
Dude, both of those are such good albums.
Yeah, and I just want to make something like that. That's just legendary. Like, yeah.
It's like just like really like, because I think that and everybody has a different perspective on it, but I think that a lot of people kind of view SoundCloud as a bit of a playground in a way,
Yeah.
where you're kind of given this open free space to post and experiment and essentially do whatever you want whenever you want. You're not really held down by distributors. You're not held down by
Hmm.
what's monetizable. You can just post whatever you want. So I think sort of working towards that goal of having like a full length big size project that is like, this is the best representation of like me and my music. I think that's a
Hmm.
really great goal to work towards. And I think up until this point you've done a great job of like establishing like what you're about and what you do. So I think that's definitely going to be sooner than later.
I hope so. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, you know what? Actually, now that you've brought it up, Eminem Show, Get Rich or Die Trying, both really, really, really fun rap albums. What are some more rap albums that you would view as just like if you listen to rap, like you gotta listen to these?
Um. Hmm. Okay. Let's see. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Um. The Marshall Mathers LP is also there. Again Eminem, but still, it's incredible.
I think that's my favorite
Um.
Eminem album. I love the
It's
Eminem Show, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think for most Eminem fans, it's between those two.
yeah,
They're pretty interchangeable. They're just both amazing. The Carter 4 by Lil Wayne is there. That's a phenomenal album.
hell yeah, that's classic right there.
Take Care by Drake. That's also phenomenal. 2014 Forest Hills Drives by J. Cole. That one is very very good too.
Do you know what? I wish that I would have gotten into J Cole earlier than I did.
Yeah, same. I kind of got into him kind of late. I really got into him when that album came out, which was already like halfway into his career.
See, I was like
So,
I was like way later than that.
oh really?
Oh yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know because like, he was always there for me. Like I always knew about him. I knew when he would drop, but I took an embarrassingly long amount of time to like actually finally listen.
Mm.
Did you see where he recently put up that one of his songs on like just like on like a YouTube producer's page?
Yeah, he let the YouTube producer just put it up. That's so awesome.
I thought that was sick. I thought that was so
Yeah,
cool of
that's
him.
awesome.
That's your
He's
goal. I know the meme. Triple platinum with no features. I
Yeah,
know that
exactly.
much.
Yeah, yeah. I like that he does that. He's very like in touch with the internet music scene. Like even though he's a huge artist and his albums
Mhm.
sell like hotcakes, he still like keeps himself connected and grounded within internet.
Yeah, yeah, I think
Cool.
being in tune and kind of understanding your audience, like that, I feel like that immediately opens up so many different paths to like how you can grow and develop as an artist.
Yeah, I agree. Also, All Eyes on Me by Tupac is a very good album.
Hell yeah.
I was just gonna say there's one more album I want to name that's not really a rap album. It's not a rap album at all, but
That's fine.
Future Sex Love Sounds by Justin Timberlake. Unbelievable.
Dude, listen, man. I had that album on my iPod Nano
Yep.
in like, 2000 whatever.
That
Um
album is phenomenal.
I'm trying to
Unbelievable.
I'm trying to remember the song. I don't know. I had there's one specific song on it that I had like on repeat.
Was it Sexy Back?
No, see, no, I know it wasn't that because I'm way too familiar with that song. I would have
Yeah.
remembered it being that one. It's shit. It's the first lyrics are, "If I wrote you a symphony, would you tell me what it's something something?"
My Love.
Yes,
That song's
dude.
fire. Yeah.
And I really appreciate how like I guess the modern, like the current shift in trends in music has been a lot more accepting of pop music recently. I've noticed.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of pop music is kind of like being influenced by the 80s again. Like a lot of pop songs sound like 80s pop songs, like Michael Jackson, like Prince, like they're super like kind of rock influenced but also synths and things like that. Um there are those pop songs that are like just ripping off hip hop. Like they'll use like
Yeah.
808s and country acoustic guitar for no reason. But like other than that, there's a like Dua Lipa makes a ton of like super synthy pop music,
Mhm.
which is cool. I like that.
And
I
there's,
still
there's
think
like The Weeknd who's like on top of that wave.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. He's just killing it with that sound.
Yeah, I think in terms of like the revival of a sound, I don't think that anybody's done it quite as like in a way that is like that is respectable to the sound that he is reviving, but also like making it an entirely fresh new sound.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because he
Um,
even the weekend even sounds like Michael Jackson a little bit, like his
Honestly,
voice,
yeah, a little bit.
but he does it in such a unique way, and it's just awesome.
No, 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 it's really great. Um, so I've asked what I've wanted to ask, and you've been a wonderful guest, like for real. You did
Thank you.
great.
You've been a great interviewer, man. You're good at this.
Thank you so much. You know what, year and a half of journalism classes in college is really paying off right now.
Yeah,
But
yeah, for sure.
there's no degree, but like I attended the classes at the very least.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but before we wrap up and head out, once again, thank you so much. Is there anything that you want to plug, say, anything that you want to talk about before we head out?
Um, honestly, just I have a new album. It's called The World. It's out right now everywhere. I'm doing a show in Toronto on February 3rd. And shout out to Sewer Person, Eric Godlow, and Scotty Splash.
All right, you
That's
heard
it.
it here. Shout out Sewer Person, Godlow, and Scotty. Go see Swain in Toronto. Go listen to The World. And then I have a personal plug. Go listen to Radiate by Swain because that song has been in my playlist for the past 3 years or 2 years, whenever it came out.
I love that.
All right, anyways, thank you so much, man.
Thank you very much.